So, my friend, I have a question for you. What is the weirdest thing to ever happen to you, be it in life, business? Tell us what is that weirdest thing?
Um, there's a couple, but I'll choose probably this one. Probably does take the cake. It was probably just about one of the weirdest nights in my life. I used to do Taekwondo, and I'd finished Taekwondo training, and we'd finished. It was up the road, living at Annerley, and we'd train in the Annerley Church Hall. And I was like, oh man, I feel like some chips. So I went down to the Red Rooster, which was just down the road, just before they shut, which was like at about just before 9 p.m. And I walked in my Taekwondo uniform, had no pockets, just had my wallet in my hand. I was like, "Can I have some chips, please?" And it was like literally 10 to 9. And walked in, and the girl was like, "Yep, chips." And I sat down on the bench. As soon as I sat down, or just soon after, I heard this guy ran in, big Maori guy, mask over his face, armed hold up,
Oh
and
my
he
God.
had a big knife, and he didn't see me. I was over in the corner of Red Rooster, quite a small Red Rooster. He runs in and he's like, "Give me your effing, blah blah blah." And there's girls like, and it was really weird because like one of those times where time slows down, and
Mm.
I'm just looking completely. I just remember really clearly. I had like literally for some weird reason. I think because I was just tired after Taekwondo or something, and this guy, and he had this mask. He had like a scarf, like the classic thing. He had
Mm.
like a hoodie on, and he's like swearing this girl freaking out. And anyway, he's he's waiting for the money to come out, and he realizes I'm there, and he turns around and looks at me, and I have my wallet in my hand, and all I did was I just put my wallet down beside me, and I'm just thinking the whole time, literally like in some weird ass movie, if he was going to attack me, what I was going to do to him. I was just going to do this or that. He looked at me, he looked back at the girl, and then he ran out. He ran out with all this money. But that's not the weirdest part. The weirdest part was he ran out and he stopped, and I'm just completely like, right, he's running out. He ran out and he stopped. And what happened was then he stopped and he looked around, and then in retrospect, I knew he was waiting for a car to come and pick him up.
Mm.
And then he couldn't just wait there for the car
Mm.
for this
Yeah,
Rob
yeah.
Red Rooster, this Rob Red Rooster. And so he just like took off sprinting down the road.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh. Then a split second later, it ended up being, in my mind, a mistimed pickup. This big, like souped up Ford goes, pulls up, filled with a bunch of big Maori guys,
Mm.
about three of them in the car. And they then were like, uh, had to pretend. I mean, this was my theory, and I thought I was like spot on, but the police didn't actually believe me. They they like pulled up and went, and then realized they couldn't. They'd obviously just been seen. Everyone could see them. They didn't have any masks on, and they came in and were like, "Oh, oh, bro, like I saw like somebody like rob your place," and I'm like, "Yeah, right," yeah, in my mind. And anyway, they then had to stay there, and then the police came, and then they were interviewing these guys, and then I told the police, and these other guys left. And after they left, I told the police, I said, "Look, here's what happened. Like this guy was waiting for a car. These guys came a split second later.
Mm.
Like, do you think?" And the policeman was like, yeah, super condescending. He was like, kind of like, "Leave the police work to me." Like, and I was like, "Yeah, okay." And anyway, what then happened was the manager of Red Rooster came and gave me a voucher for a family meal.
You know what I find the weirdest thing about that story is that somebody would go, "Do you know what? Red Rooster, they make loads of money. I don't see anyone at Red Roosters. And so why would you go and choose a Red Rooster to go rob from? And maybe they just got the vouchers for dinner. I don't know. I don't know.
But then that's actually not even the weirdest part of the night. What then happened just after that was then I was like, oh my God, I called up, filmed my wife, and she was like, where are you? And I was like, oh, this was been an armed hold up. Sorry, gotta come home. And she was like, okay, see you soon. And then I got in the car and came up. And what I saw then up near where we had our training hall was what literally looked like the moon, like this giant bright orb, like the sun, floating up near where, and I was like, what the hell? It looked like a UFO, like literally like some the moon or the sun floating up just near where we were training. And I was like, this is the weirdest night ever. I can't believe this is happening. So what it was I went up and some people, a film crew had set up after we had finished training and were filming a part of a movie. And I didn't realize it at the time. I just thought it was like a UFO or the moon.
Yeah.
But and thinking I'm going to drive up there and see some aliens walking over spacecraft. But it was actually film crews have, in order to make it look like the daylight, they have this big sort of helium filled balloon. It's got a light inside it and it makes it look like the daylight.
Oh, yeah.
And I went, oh well, that's gonna make a great story for the rest of my life this
Yes.
evening. And that's the strangest series of things that ever happened to me.
Do you know what the film was?
Oh yeah, it was I can't remember the title, but it was a film. It was like an indie film that was about sort of stuff happening in Brisbane. It was specifically about like parts of the history of Brisbane or something, like this indie film about
Cool.
bands and musicians. I can't remember the title though, but I ended up finding that out, and then I saw them filming and saw some actors doing stuff, and
yeah,
and I just went, and I literally live just up the road.
Yeah.
And so I just drove up there and like I'm very tired. But at the end of the day, I had a family meal, which I don't think I ever used.
So, but anyone from Red Rooster, we want to renew that voucher, please.
Yes.
What's the next 4 songs coming up, mate?
Okay, we got Queen Under Pressure, which I think then is also with David Bowie, I believe. REM, It's the End of the World, We Know It. Roxette, The Look, and my favorite, The Proclaimers. I'm Gonna Be, because I love those guys' accents. I still, that's a fantastic song. The video is pretty good too, but more just their look. Those two guys, they stick in your mind forever.
They do. I love a bit of The Proclaimers, and that's going to be up straight away, and we'll be back soon.